People think my victories were built on speed. They say it was my footwork. They say it was my reflexes. They say it was my mouth. Those were only the surface. The truth is simpler and harder. I won my fights before I ever entered the ring. By the time the bell rang, the decision had already been made. Not by the judges, not by the crowd, not by history, by me. Long before the lights, long before the cameras, long before the noise, I learned something most men never learn. The real opponent is never standing across from you. The real opponent lives inside you. Fear, doubt, hesitation, the voice that asks, what if? That is the fight. Everything else is movement. When I trained, I did not only train my body, I trained my state. I trained myself to remain loose when others became tense. I trained myself to smile when others hardened. I trained myself to breathe when others held their breath. Tension is the enemy of speed. Fear tightens the muscles. Doubt slows the reaction. Anger clouds judgment. I learned to enter the ring calm, not empty, not passive, calm and ready. Readiness is not excitement. Readiness is alignment. Before every fight, I spent time alone. No noise, no distractions, no opinions. I replayed the fight in my mind not once, but many times. I saw the punches before they came. I felt the rhythm before it appeared. I moved in my imagination before I moved in reality. When the body recognizes something it has already seen, it reacts without delay. That is speed. People think confidence comes from winning. They are wrong. Confidence comes from familiarity. I made victory familiar long before it happened. I made success normal in my mind. So when the moment arrived, my nervous system did not panic. It recognized the situation. This is why I could smile under pressure. This is why I could dance while others stood stiff. This is why I could hear the crowd without being swallowed by it. I had already been there. When my opponents looked into my eyes, many of them felt something before a punch was thrown. They felt certainty. Certainty is unsettling to a man who still has questions. I had none, not because I was fearless, but because I had already faced my fear in private. Most men wait until the moment arrives to confront themselves. I confronted myself every day in training. That is why the ring felt familiar. The ring was honest. It showed you exactly who you were. No excuses, no explanations, no hiding, only presence. I learned early that a distracted mind cannot fight well. A mind thinking about consequences moves too slowly. A mind thinking about reputation loses timing. So I stripped my focus down to one thing. This moment, not the crowd, not the past, not the outcome, just the moment in front of me. When the mind stays in the present, the body becomes intelligent. It reacts without thought. It flows without force. It adapts without resistance. That is what people call my style. It was not a style. It was a state. I did not try to overpower my opponents. I let them exhaust themselves. I let them chase. I let them swing at what was no longer there. Patience is a weapon. Most people rush because they are afraid of stillness. Stillness exposes insecurity. I was comfortable there. That comfort gave me control. Every punch I avoided stole confidence from my opponent. Every miss tightened them. Every moment I remained relaxed, frustrated them. Frustration leads to mistakes. Mistakes create openings. I waited for openings. I did not force them. Forcing creates tension. Timing creates ease. When I faced men who were physically stronger than me, I never tried to match their strength. That would have been foolish. I used rhythm. I used angles. I used awareness. Awareness is the greatest advantage a fighter can have. A man who sees clearly is already ahead. I studied my opponents, but I did not obsess over them. Obsession creates attachment. Attachment creates fear. I respected them, but I did not idolize them. The moment you place another man above yourself in your mind, you have already stepped down. I never stepped down. Even when I lost, I did not collapse. Loss was information. Loss showed me what needed refinement. It showed me where tension had entered. It showed me where emotion had interfered. An untrained mind defends its ego after loss. A trained mind extracts lessons. I always chose lessons. That is why setbacks never broke me. They sharpened me. When I was forced away from boxing, when years were taken from me, many thought I would never return the same. They were right. I returned deeper. I returned with perspective. I returned with patience. I returned without urgency. Urgency is fear disguised as motivation. I had none. I knew who I was without the ring. That knowledge made me dangerous again when I returned to it. Many men only know themselves through achievement. Take achievement away and they disappear. I had already learned to stand without applause. So when applause returned, it did not control me. That freedom showed in my movement. Freedom creates creativity. Creativity creates unpredictability. Unpredictability wins fights. Now let me speak to you. You are fighting battles long before anyone sees them. In your mind, in your habits, in your reactions. If you wait for the moment to arrive before preparing your inner state, you will feel rushed. If you train your state daily, the moment will feel familiar. Do not wait for pressure to test you. Create it in practice. Do not wait for fear to appear. Meet it intentionally. Do not wait for confidence to arrive. Build it through repetition. You win before you enter the ring of life by deciding who you are before the challenge arrives. Calm is not weakness. Calm is readiness. Presence is not passive. Presence is power. I never won because I was louder. I won because I was prepared in silence. And that preparation began long before anyone was watching.